what do you do when you're at home of a weekend and you're stuck there because there's cyclonic weather around? You make YouTube videos. That's what I'm doing. So I'm making a YouTube video a little bit about the cyclone and the weather. One of the things that's come up to me is that this cyclone that went through and still going through is wasn't didn't affect Forrestal according to the predictions that the Bureau of Meteorology said. And I want to delve into the reasons why about that. I have a theory, and I don't know if it's right or not, but anyway, this is just my theory. All right. So this is a Bureau of Meteorology website, and in the past, I've gone into this and gone to looked at the various things and whatever, and about what the predictions are. And the best way to get the predictions more precisely is to use this thing called MET-I. If you go into MET-I, it shows you a map of the whole of Australia, right? And then you can select various things on the left-hand side. For example, the default one is to show wind speed and direction in knots. Obviously, it's doing that because of cyclones, and also it's showing the cyclone there at the moment. All right. However, when you can also not only just do the wind speed and that, well, it's actually their wind forecasts. My apologies. You can also actually do the current wind speed. Where are we? I'll just make that bigger so I can see it. Wind speed and direction. All right, that one there in kilometres an hour. And then if you come back to the map, you can see it's giving you what the wind speed and directions are everywhere. All right. So it gives you the current one and also gives you the forecast one. And on the forecast one, if you go over to here, the forecast, where that's the current weather. All right. You go into wind forecasts. All right. You can see wind speed in directions in knots or wind speeds in kilometres an hour, depending on which one you want. And then it gives you the forecast. But then over the top here, up here, it can actually give you the forecast for days in the future. Now, when I did this a couple of days ago, it said the wind around Forrestal to be 60, 70 and 80 kilometres an hour and a certain amount of rain and things like that, or a certain amount of wind and things like that. However, it never eventuated. It didn't come to that thing. And admittedly, it's a prediction, but why didn't it do it? And by the way, if you want to get in a little bit closer, if you type in there, I just type in Forrestal, Forestale, Forrestal, Queensland, and actually puts a thing right on Forrestal, wherever it is. All right, there we are. And it's saying in the future we're going to get on Sunday we're going to get 100 mils of rain, and Monday we're going to 90, and Tuesday we're going to 70. That's a prediction. However, the basis of doing all this is simply the weather stations that the Bureau have got. Now, they've got various weather stations. In Forestdale, there is a weather station down at the creek where the bridge goes across the Oxley Creek in Johnson Road, but that doesn't give wind. The closest one that gives wind is in the Greenbank Army Camp. And just to show you how you can get that, for example, if we've got that table up, which I'll call up again, all right, it's gone away. I'll call up Forestdale again, all right, okay, and, oops, bring across. Up the top here it says, see text view for locations. So I'll go up to that, click on that, and we get text view, and it comes up and it says it's, even though I had Forestdale to start with, it says the Greenbank Defence, because Forestdale weather station doesn't have a wind meter. However, this one does tell you all the winds, and what you can do is go over here to where it says current and past weather, and that changes and shows you, in this case, for the observations for the Greenbank Military Reserve, what the wind is. And you can see it's currently Saturday at, where are we? What's the time? 10:38. And at 10:30, it says the wind speed is 9 knots and it's gusting to 20, etc. All right. So it gives you the wind speed, and you'll notice none of these are particularly high, right? They're always wind gusts at relatively low. So there's nowhere near what they predicted. However, that's because that's at the Greenbank and we're all going Forestdale. And also, it seems to me that what actually happens is they extrapolate the weather for different places. Right? I'll come back to that in a minute. You go back to Friday's observations and also then Thursday's observations and Wednesday's observations. You can see the winds here. If I go to the top of the thing, the wind speed was never really, really high in Greenbank and also probably in Forestdale. And I'm saying it's because they extrapolate the information. The reason I say that is if I go back here, a couple of screens, all right, go back to the map on Med-Eye, you can touch anywhere on Australia, even though it's not a place, and it'll give you the weather for that, all right? If I touch there, I don't know where that point is, and it gives you that weather. But obviously they don't have weather stations everywhere. But what they do is they look at the closest weather station and the next closest one, probably 2 or 3 of them, and extrapolate the information. So in the case, for example, when I find in Brisbane, for example, they're going to have a top temperature of in temperature of say 30 degrees one day, and Ipswich is going to be 35 degrees, they say, oh, Forestdale is halfway between Brisbane and what's the name, so we'll make it 32.5 degrees. It's a top temperature. So that's why I think we don't get the precise weather forecast that happens in that we don't get the precise weather forecast in Forestdale. Also, I think there's the geography, right? Forestdale, we're a forest. We don't get the winds that they have out in the ocean, all right? And I don't know if that's taken into account in terms of when they predict their weather and the wind warnings and stuff, wind directions and stuff like that. But anyway, I'll be interested in other people's comments and see what you think of that. Be nice, I suppose, I could ring the Weather Bureau and ask them. I don't think at the moment it's the right time to ring them. Perhaps when all this is over and ask how they extrapolate weather for places where they don't have weather stations. Any questions? Email me. Bye.